Hello, welcome to more yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you are doing well and making it through the summer. The heat is just killing me, but what can you do? This too shall pass. I thought we'd get a little bit into the upper back and the shoulders today, possibly a little bit of chest as well. So you will need a dowel or a broom handle like I've found. If you don't have one, you could use a strap or a belt, something like that. But I figure most people will have something like this in their homes or in their gyms. So let's start. So let's start in a tall seat. You can be cross-legged or on your shins. You don't have to sit with your heels stacked on top of each other like I do. It's all good. I want you to find a tall seat, and for a few breaths, inhale through your nose and exhale, sigh. And breath away. Two more. And continue breathing however you need to, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. Notice how your breath is flowing. Notice if you're gripping or holding any tension anywhere in your body and try to let it go. So there's still lift, but there isn't that grip. Last couple breaths here. And slowly release your chin toward your chest and just take a few half moon circles. We're not going to go all the way back. Just think right ear to shoulder, chin to chest, left ear to shoulder. And just getting a little bit of rocking movements. Just feel if there's anywhere along that path that it feels like could use a little bit of extra attention or love. And the next time that you bring your left ear to your shoulder, pause there. So sitting nice and tall. This might be enough for you. If you'd like a little bit more, you might reach your right fingertips away from you on the floor, or you can even bring your left hand behind your back and grab the right arm. Some of you might choose instead to bring the left hand gently to the top of the head without yanking or pulling, just to give a little bit of extra weight into that stretch. So getting into the side of the neck on the right side. Last couple breaths here. And then maintaining the lateral flexion in your neck. I want you to gently rotate your nose or your chin toward your shoulder. Tuck the chin in slightly. And then we're getting into now more towards the posterior side. Or still the right side, but a bit more posterior. You might feel this down your arm or your shoulder. I'm going to say that's totally normal because I always do. Last couple breaths here. Okay, if your head is on your hand, or your hand is on your head, release it. I want you to come back to that left ear to shoulder thing. And this one's a little bit tricky, but we're going to try and get into the front of the neck, the sternocleidomastoid, SCM. So again, think of tucking the chin in slightly, but then start to turn your head up to the sky. And then you might feel it more on the front side of the neck. Now, some people will feel it if they lift, but you don't want to get too much into the back, right? So think of tucking the chin back. It's kind of tricky, but you should be feeling this sort of meaty muscle on the front getting a bit of a release. And then gently release chin to chest. Whew. A couple little half moon circles or a little head bobble. And then we'll switch to the opposite side. So right ear, shoulder, and then just ease into it, right? You don't want to be curving through the spine. Nice long spine, just lateral flexion in the neck. Maybe you're here, maybe you reach the left fingertips away from you. You might clasp the right hand behind the back and grab the left arm. Maybe you gently rest your right hand on top of your head. I recently went camping and had a couple nights on the cold ground, so this feels particularly delicious for me today. And again, maintaining the lateral flexion. Slowly start to rotate your nose toward your shoulder. Tuck the chin under slightly. And if you have your hand on your head, release it. Come back to that lateral flexion, right ear to shoulder. Tuck the chin in, and then start to look up. Now again, getting into the front of the neck. And again, you might have to play around with this one to see where you get the release. And then slowly, gently release everything, chin to chest. Couple little half moon circles or a head bobble. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit more relaxed. And then take your time. We're going to slowly just gently make our way into a standing forward fold so we can let everything kind of get some traction. I'm going to use blocks underneath my hands for the first little bit. Just to like pedal out the knees or the legs. And then I'm going to bend my knees quite a bit and then release down. So try to look at, rather than looking at the floor, look through your legs so that the neck can stay nice and long. If you'd like more traction, you can interlace your hands behind the base of the skull to get a little bit more lengthening through the neck, or you could clasp opposite elbows with hands to get more release through the rest of the spine. Last few breaths here. And then gently release your hands to the floor or maybe to blocks or fingertips. And as you inhale, lift up partway, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, let it all go. 2 more. And then bend your knees, head heavy, arms heavy. Slow as you can, start to roll up to standing. Knees bent the entire time, tailbone tucked under. You're really getting into the low back. The more you start to roll up, the more you get into mid back. Don't lead with your chin though. Keep that chin tucked in toward your chest. So the very last thing that happens is the chin comes untucked. Knees straighten, and then bend the knees, tuck the chin, start to roll back down. So we're going to do a couple more of these ragdoll cycles. You can pause anywhere along the way if you'd like to and sway a bit or get into any sticky parts. Still doing the ragdoll. Maybe the next time that you get all the way up to the top, pause there. A couple loops of the shoulders, up, back, and down. Release, shake out whatever you need to release. And a couple breaths, just standing. You might rock side to side. Your eyes could be closed like mine are. You might rock forward and back or in circles. Just finding where your balance is today. And then come to the center. Little draw of belly button to spine. Again, without bracing or gripping. Gentle, gentle, gentle squeeze of the bum. Shoulders on the back. Let's do a little up and down flow. So we inhale, reach up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold, melt to the earth. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Charge your legs. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. And exhale, hands to prayer. Same thing. Inhale to the sky. If your arms or shoulders are tight, reach forward instead of the side. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift up partway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands to prayer. Last round. And exhale, hands to prayer. Release them by your side. Shake it out a little bit. And then grab your dowel or your broom handle, whatever it is that you're using. Oh, let's see, mine matched my pants today. So that's fancy. Feet hip width apart, little draw of belly button to spine, and squeeze the bum, because as soon as we start to do stuff with the upper back, we kind of go into this like zombie position, right? And you don't want that tension on the low back. So a little squeeze of the bum. And then take your hands nice and wide. For me, I'm going to go pretty much as wide as this bar is long. And we're going to reach up to the sky. Pause here. Make sure you're not scrunching up. Right? So there's a little depression, but not active retraction. Right? And then just see how that feels. Maybe you start to go back a little bit. Right? Again, squeeze the bum so you're not dumping into the lower back. Maybe you start to go a little bit further back. Maybe you come all the way down. Now from here, you can just let go with one hand and sweep the dowel back in front of you. Or, if it feels all right, maybe you start to come all the way back up and then forward. So a few of these, as slow as you need to go. You can always pause in this, I like to think of it as the prow of a ship position. Feels really lovely. Well, interesting anyway, across the chest and the front of the shoulders. Or maybe you just flow through front and back. As slow or as fast as you need to go. And if it's too tight, right, if it feels horrible and you feel like your elbows have to bend, then take a wider grip if you can, or find a strap so you can really take a wide grip. If on the other hand you feel like, no big deal, then you take a narrower grip. And then you'll really start to get into the shoulders. I'm not doing it today though. Last couple breaths here. The next time that you come all the way forward, pause there. Shake out the arms a little bit. So that's called shoulder flossing, or in the gym you might hear it as shoulder dislocates. It's a really good way to work almost the full range of that circumduction of the shoulder joint. Okay, so bring your hands a little bit narrower on your dowel or your bar. Think downward facing dog width, so outer shoulder width apart. And then inhale the dowel up above. Again, make sure that you're not dumping into the lower back. Squeeze the bum, and then tension on the dowel. Slowly bring the dowel back behind the head. Don't go too far down, and then back up. So a few of these pull aparts, just activating the shoulder girdle and the muscles of the glenohumeral joint or the shoulder joint. Busting out some anatomical terms today. Last couple here. Right, so sometimes firing these muscles up will actually help us target them when we want to release them. Last breath. And then shake everything out again. Okay, take the dowel into your right hand and then bring it behind your back. You can use your left hand to snuggle that dowel in, or that elbow up rather, if you like. And then you're going to reach around with the left hand to grab the dowel. Now you're welcome to walk the fingertips toward each other, or you might just keep a little space in them today. But I want you to think of separating the elbows, but hugging the shoulders toward each other. And then pull down with the bottom hand a little bit more. Keep snuggling that top elbow in toward your head. Maybe some of you are going to think of pulling the dowel away from you, away from the back. For me, that doesn't feel great today, so I'm not going to do that. And again, I'm just going to think of separating the elbows and opening through the chest. And then slowly, gently release. Shake it out a little bit. This is one of those postures or stretches that can feel so different from one side to the other, particularly if you have any chronic injuries, or for me, I feel like I'm getting impingement in my shoulder here, so I'm just going to go easy. Second side, dowel or bar in the left hand, and again, you can use the right hand to snuggle that upper arm or elbow in toward you a little bit, and then try to have the dowel going straight down your spine. Reach around with the right hand, and then maybe walk the fingertips toward each other. It's also not necessary. And then think of separating the elbows away from each other as you gently squeeze the shoulder blades toward each other. Again, some of you might play with pulling the dowel back behind you. I'm not going to demo that because it feels gnarly on me today. But this stretch, particularly across the front of that bottom shoulder, so if I'm facing the same way you are, the right shoulder, it feels quite good. Last couple breaths. And then slowly, gently release your hands, shake it out a little bit. Whew, that feels good, I hope. At any point, if you feel pain, back out of it, don't do it. Let's bring the dowel behind the back now. So you can either have palms facing forward or palms facing back, whatever you prefer. I'm going to start with my palms facing forward, a little bend in the elbows, a little bend in the knees, and then as you exhale, start to come into a forward fold. Keep the dowel on your low back or your sacrum. I want you to bend your knees enough that your low belly, maybe even your chest, rests comfortably on the upper thighs. And then think of that retraction of the shoulder blades. All right, so elbows, shoulders drawn toward each other. From there, start to lift the dowel up toward the sky. Or maybe even to the wall in front of you. Now you can take as narrow or as wide of a grip on the dowel as feels good today, but don't let the shoulders dip. Right? Keep wrapping them toward each other. You could sway a little bit from side to side. Here, twist. And then slowly bring the dowel back to the low back. Switch the grip. So if you were palms down, now go palms up, or vice versa, unless you know that one is not good for you. Wrap the shoulder blades toward each other. Inhale, lift. And a few breaths here. Again, you could sway a little bit from side to side, whatever you need. And then slowly bring the dowel back to the low back. And then this is a little bit tricky. Palms facing down. I want you to slide or allow the dowel to roll to your upper back until you're able to catch it in your elbows. Hug the elbows, the shoulder blades toward each other. Belly bend to spine. Charge your legs. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. Ooh, a little bit on the hamstrings. You might need to adjust here. And then palms facing up. Keep wrapping the elbows toward each other, couple breaths. Now as you inhale, feel the widening of the rib cage on the dowel and the pressure back into it. Keep the chest up and open without dumping into the low back, right? So squeeze the bum. Couple more breaths here. And then slowly, gently release. Shake it out a little bit. We're done with the dowel, so you can put it off to the side. And then come back to the top edge of your mat. Inhale, sweep up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, little part weight lift. Exhale, fold, bend your knees, plant your hands, step back to plank, so the top of a push-up, either from your toes or from your knees, wherever you need to go. Squeeze the bum, squeeze the tops of the thighs. Draw your lower ribs up to the sky. Press the floor away with your hands. Last couple breaths here. And then exhale, gently release all the way down to the earth. I said we were done with the dowel, but if you want to grab it, it could be really useful right now. If it's too far away, don't worry about it. I don't know, right? Some days I not forget where we're going, but you change it up. So if you're going to use the dowel, bring the dowel behind your back again. Palms face up this time. Wrap the shoulder blades toward each other, and then try to keep your forehead on the floor. I'm only lifting up so I don't muffle my microphone. Hug the legs toward each other. Press the tops of the feet into the floor. Again, really wrap the shoulder blades toward each other, and then inhale, lift the heart forward and up. So right now, my dowel, because my arms are quite long, is down below the bum. I'm going to hug the shoulder blades toward each other and start to lift the dowel up, and then think of pulling it back toward my toes a little bit more. Maybe I start to reach the feet so far back that they de-weight as well. So now the dowel and toes are reaching as far back as they can. And then exhale, release all the way down. One cheek to the floor. Deep belly breaths to release through the lower back. And then slowly come back to center. If you could like to continue using the dowel, you can, or you can dish it off to the side. Some of you might prefer to clasp your hands behind the low back. This time I'm going to go hands facing down. Really active through the legs, kneecaps lifting away from the floor. Inhale, the heart forward and up. Wrap the shoulder blades toward each other, and then start to de-weight the dowel, reaching it further back. Maybe the legs de-weight as well. Maybe everything lifts up a little bit higher. And then exhale, release all the way down. Now, ditch your dowel off to the side. A few breaths here to release. And then bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes and press yourself back to a child's pose. So either knees together to release through the low back, or maybe you take your knees wide to release through the hips. And then rather than having the arms outstretched, I want you to bend your elbows, flip the palms face up, and then kind of chicken wing your elbows around your shoulders. And slowly press yourself up to hands and knees. A little wiggle or shake. And then we're going to come down back onto our bellies. I'm going to face you. Hopefully I don't kick over my books. I have a chip foam block. If you have like a cushion or a towel, something that you can bring underneath your head, that would be quite useful. And then you're going to take your right arm out to the side come up onto the fingertips on that left hand, and then slowly start to push yourself, roll yourself over top of that right shoulder. I just pushed this out of the way. So this could go underneath your head. If you don't have it, it's not a big deal. And then slowly start to figure out where you would like to go. Maybe your legs stack, maybe you bend that top knee and then bring the sole of the foot behind you, kind of like a kickstand. And then that top arm, you might just be pressing the fingertips into the floor, or you could drape it behind your lower back. So easing now into the space in the front of that right shoulder. Last couple breaths here. And slowly, as slowly as you came into it, start to unwind. Right, there's so many muscle attachments in the front of that shoulder. You want to be really gentle and then come back onto your belly. And a couple breaths here, ideally without moving that right arm if you can, just to allow the fascia to rebound. And then when you're ready, we'll switch to the opposite side. So left arm goes out to the side, elbow can be bent or straight. Fingertip, or come up onto the fingertips on that right hand and then press into the floor. Slowly start to roll yourself over to the left this time. And again, maybe the legs stack. Maybe you bend that top knee and bring the foot behind you like a kickstand. Anything you want to do with that right arm, maybe it drapes behind you. It's quite normal for one side to feel tighter than the other while you're doing this. So just know that that's a possibility. Last few breaths here. And then slowly unwind as slowly as you came into it. And come back to your belly. Couple breaths to pause and to release. And then slowly start to press yourself back up to hands and knees. Sweep your legs forward in front of you. And then come down onto your back. Hug your knees into your chest. Little rock from side to side. And then bring your feet to the floor. Knees bent if you like. Maybe let the knees hang in toward each other. And have a few breaths here. Arms out to the side like a T or maybe in a cactus shape. And then stay here if you would like. This might be your pose of rest today. Maybe some of you will heel and toe the feet together so that the soles of the feet together and the knees come wide. Some of you might choose to rest in a traditional corpse pose, on your side, in child's pose, or a seated meditation, wherever you want to go. And for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh, breath away. Couple more. And then let go of all breath control, all muscle tension or gripping, particularly in your face or your jaw. With each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the earth. Stay longer here if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.